Way past cool, everyone. It's Deep Dive Zone, the Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I am your host, Devin, joined as always by Lauren and Bruce. And guys, we're back with comic books. We're done with video games for, like a year.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's weird to be back with comics.
Been a little while.
Also kind of nice.
For sure.
It's a lot less stressful to review something that you know
Yeah.
how long it's going to last each time.
Right.
You know, there's been a bunch of new Sonic comics since we left off, and some new Sonic games and cartoons, I suppose, as well. And, you know, since then, Ken Penders really did properly leave Twitter, so that's one promise that he's fulfilled now.
Is that just because there is no Twitter?
Twitter technically still exists. I know that might be hard to believe,
well,
but no, he really is gone. He is
Pendy's
personal
did
website
actually
only.
leave. Which is kind of impressive. I'm actually surprised he did it.
That's quite surprising.
There is a real possibility that this development means he's actually working on his comic book now.
Which means it might actually happen.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but we'll see. But from here on out, we are covering the early 2000s era of the Archie Sonic comics, which is awesome. This is one of the most interesting parts of the series to me, because it is not only the most controversial, but also, in my opinion, contains both the best and worst writing of the series. At least some of it. There's great writing after that as well. But,
well, sure, yeah.
There are things here that no other Sonic series has ever done. But for right now, to start us off, we are here with Sonic the Hedgehog number 79, and look at that. There's two new logos on the title, in fact. Technically,
it's true.
Technically 78 started this, but we got rid of the old, like, Sonic 1 logo, and now we have the proper Sonic series logo on here.
Fun. I'm gonna be honest, I did not notice that when we were talking about it talking about these previously.
I definitely didn't notice. Yeah,
it was just for one issue that they had changed it by last time, so
fair enough. But
the other logo, you know, shows that this is technically a Sonic Adventure tie-in, and boy is this gonna get very strange. This is a full-scale, several issues long adaptation of the Dreamcast game, done with very, very little information about the game, I might add. SEGA was really cagey about plot details, so a majority of the adaptation is based off of pre-release material and like a Japanese copy that Spaziant had to import himself.
That really shows the kind of opinion SEGA had about these comics at this point.
Well, they were required to make a tie-in, though, weren't they?
They were required to do the tie-in. But they still didn't provide any info.
Why? That doesn't make any sense. That's very confusing to me.
This is a problem that continued for at least several more years, if not longer. I'm trying to think of, like, what's the most, like, real tie-in that any Sonic game got after this? And I guess the answer would be Sonic Unleashed, but they did that several years after the game came out, so it doesn't really count. But, like...
Wow, I can't believe. That's been a mainstay. Game tie-ins. This is the last? Wow.
This is not the last tie-in. I'm just saying that, like, in terms of a full-scale try to make the game plot into part of the series.
Right.
Sort of thing. Because when we get to, like, SA2, that's a lot more Spartan in how it adapts it. But,
sure.
Let's get into this one for right now. We've got our usual Spaziant cover, you know, as always, very expressive art. Depicting Amy with a white Chaos Emerald?
That's not even canonically correct, is it?
No, at least
why does she have? Yeah, that's not what it is. What?
Yeah.
Given how rushed the adaption's production was, maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know.
He drew the cover. It's not an emerald. Too bad.
It's a diamond. Don't worry about it.
Well, we are starting off with our main story here with The Discovery, written by Carl Ballers and drawn by James Fry. I'm happy to see him back. We like his art. While hacking into Robotnik's files, Sonic and Nate discover the coordinates of the hidden city of the Ancients. Meanwhile, Elias has an idea to help the Ailing Queen, but Amy Rose has other plans.
Yeah?
Yeah, she really does have other plans.
She didn't know, but...
No, she didn't, but still, describing it that way is funny.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
We'll burn that bridge when we get there.
So I think this was last issue. Is Nate just, like, living with Sonic now? Is that a thing that's going on?
It sure seems like it.
I think so, yeah. Which, honestly, that's great.
That's funny, yeah. I enjoy that.
It's also like we got the replacement old man since we don't have Chuck here right now.
Well, that's clearly the idea.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I guess that's
I
true.
didn't think about that either, but that does make sense.
Well, it's easy to forget that the last time we were here was a massive tragedy as Moetropolis was retaken and all of the Robians were re-hypnotized.
Right. Well, all of them except for Sonic's parents. But yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so we head out to, what do? We find the king to talk about the hidden city of the ancients.
When he says it so dramatically, and I'm just like, which ancients? There's like multiple. Could be any.
We've got a lot of different ancients right now.
Well, and that's the hilarious thing, because if you know that this is an SA1 adaptation, you're gonna think that it's the Mystic Ruins.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
It's not, though.
No, I actually did predict what it was, because I immediately thought, okay, that might make sense.
Yeah, but King Max is not really like, he's like, okay, well, whatever. He's busy thinking about other things because his wife is doing very well. She's fine.
I mean, she wasn't doing too hot in the first place, so
yeah. I mean, has her status really actually changed?
Apparently,
well, that's the plot here. Is that they're like, is King Max not telling us something? And it's
right,
her condition is getting worse.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I guess because the echidna freezers are better than the knothole ones. I don't know.
That's right, and they don't. Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe the Brotherhood could have actually been useful and just sent her with a freezer.
Look, I am convinced that the Brotherhood have the technology to just straight up revive her, and they just chose not to because they're like, not our problem.
Yeah, they have this policy of non-confrontation or like non-intervention.
They're like, I guess we can't let her die because that would be like a little even too far even for us. But we're not going to do anything.
Well, we're not going to do anything to actually fix her. We're just going to throw her into the freezer and hope for the best.
Yeah, but that's a little bit later. For right now, Sonic just like, that's weird, and then just goes to bed.
A man after my own taste.
Yeah.
Something weird happens, go to bed. It's easier to think about it in the morning.
Well, and more like my taste, he wakes up the next morning to find several of his friends bumming around his house.
Oh yeah, because I've done that.
Well, yeah, because I have a nocturnal sleep schedule, so anytime our friend group does something, they get there like either right after or before I wake up.
Yeah, usually you're like just getting up. It's funny.
When Sonic's parents announce everyone is there, they call Tails Miles Tails Prower. Who does that? Who calls out someone that you're very familiar with and says like that includes their nickname and their true name? Like,
well, they also do the same thing they refer to everyone by their full names for some reason.
Well, no, but I would expect them to just say Miles Prower then. Why Miles Tails?
I mean, realistically, there's no reason to call them all by their full names. Just call them by what they're normally called.
In fairness, I would say that they're not intimately familiar with Tails because Tails was just a baby when they got roboticized.
I would assume at this point,
Tails
Sonic would have gotten them fully like introduced.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Tails is living with Sonic as well, anyway. So
I think so.
They certainly write it that way for the next few years after this.
Also, I don't remember if I asked this in the classic era. Why does everyone refer to Amy by her full name? That bugs me.
I would be asking why she's here because she's been barely present in the series up to this point.
Because she wants to be a freedom
on the
fighter.
Cover, did you notice?
Yeah, come on. There's a green hedgehog on the cover.
But like they treat her like she's as prominent as the rest, whereas Antoine, Bunny, Sally, and Tails have at least been in a lot of stories up to this point. Yeah.
No, but aside from the fact that she's going to be in the tie-in, so she has to be there. I think Bruce is right that Amy just invited herself over to the party because she wants to be involved.
Yeah, she wants to take the trip with them to the city of the ancients.
Right.
And it kind of does signal how much the Archie writers have painted themselves into a corner here because, they very much portrayed Amy as a little girl, as a young child. And they, it's like, they're like, well, no, she can't go because she's too young. And then she's like, well, I'm just as old as Tails. And then they're like, well, Tails has experience. And it's like, well, how the fuck are you this is like a job interview shit. How am I supposed to get the experience you're hiring me for?
Right.
But, in the games, I don't know what exactly Sega's age numbers were in the games. If they actually did on the Japanese side of things age the characters up for SA1, or if that was solely an American construction. I don't remember.
Oh, is that actually something that was done in America?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But it ends up
I've never
being
heard that before.
what caused this comic to exist, because Amy
Right.
is older in Sonic Adventure 1 than she has ever been portrayed in the comics.
That is true, yeah.
So they tell her, like, no, Amy, you're too young, get out of here.
Yeah, go away, child. You come back when you're older.
So
She took that seriously.
She did, honestly.
Yeah. well, we're not quite there yet. We do see here, for like we commented on the Queen earlier. We don't actually know that was what they're talking about until this next scene where Elias and Max are talking about it.
No, okay, yeah, we don't know they're talking about it, but we can also use our brains.
Inference, comics for kids, whatever. But Elias is like, this is bad, but I have an idea. And his idea is the Ring of Acorns?
Yes.
I forgot until that one frame when he's running over that apparently all he has a troop of female characters that follow him sometimes.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Why are they just like a bunch of anime girls? They're not even really animals. They have noses, and that's like it.
Yeah, I think two of them are the Tenchi Muyo girls that we pointed out.
Oh yeah, they are.
But yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is. I guess he's a prince and kind of
Elias,
shonen. So
yeah, he's also Amy ruins the plan immediately.
Well, so this is something that I don't know how I feel about, because, like, we'll get there in a second. But the Ring of Acorns was something that Nate made and hid in the temple from the Indiana Jones parody, and he did that to swap with the Super Emerald before Sonic took it, so that they powered their plane to get home.
Apparently, it can grant wishes.
Well, so this is a thing that they sometimes say rings can do, and sometimes say they can't. I don't know what makes this one special.
It
was super powered, especially.
I mean, yeah, it is.
Regular rings can't really. I mean, like
they only grant boring wishes.
They can bend the plot if necessary, right. But they can't do what this one's about to do. The thing I'm thrown through the loop by with this situation is that there's not even so much as a single guard in front of that building. Why?
It's just a house, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, what is this building? Is this just like where the king is keeping all the little trinkets from the castle?
It's the royal reliquary. He
Elias have a
calls
name?
it. And
I didn't even notice that it has a name.
Like, if it's an official building like that, why? Anyone can walk inside. I guess it's a museum, maybe. That's how they see it. Oh, no one would. Everyone has respect for the. They wouldn't mess with the artifacts.
It's weird that you keep wish magic around here. Just out in the open, but also that, like, nobody even considered using this thing for anything before now.
They've had a lot of stuff on their minds. Let's be honest.
Well, could that wish bring the Robians back?
I mean, yeah.
That wouldn't even be a stretch, because rings can already do that.
That's true. That's a good point.
Well, I mean, could it bring them home? But yeah.
So
I don't know about that, but
to be honest, my immediate assumption was like, yeah, that would have been a nice, easy way to get a solution for Sally's mom. But that's way too simple of a solution for these comics to use.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want plot contrivances to solve issues in the long run.
I mean more. These comics love to overcomplicate their issues.
Yeah, fair enough. But yes, Amy takes the ring, and we see a flash of light, and then the story ends after a whole 7 pages.
Yeah, now we're stuck with more Echidna bullshit.
Penders couldn't even leave half the issue to Sonic because he was so sore about losing the Knuckles comics.
Yes, all of the Knuckles comics were canceled, but the Knuckles stories were not canceled in the slightest. So now, for most of the rest of the series, up until Penders leaves, there is going to be basically half or more of every issue dedicated to his stuff instead. Which is why this story feels so unfinished, is because it's literally half a story and it was not planned to be like that. But yes, we have Knuckles in the Chaos Factor, written by Penders and drawn by Stephen Butler. Knuckles awakens from a nightmare to find the Master Emerald is gone, and Angel Island has fallen into the sea. The culprit is Robotnik, along with a beast of living water called Chaos.
I know that name.
I recognize that name.
Yeah, at the very least, this is at least adapting some game stuff, so it's not totally off topic.
That is true.
Yeah, honestly, at least during this arc, it's more like, meanwhile, with Knuckles, it's not like, and then there were some other random things that were happening completely unrelated. Like, they're actually kind of related, so I'm not as mad as I would be. Sure. Or I will be, I think.
There you go. That's more like it.
I'm not sure why all of the SA1 stuff is presented as a nightmare that Knuckles is waking up from when it did happen.
I thought this was like, oh shoot, our continuity doesn't match this at all. We'll just do scene for scene what happens in Sonic Adventure, but we'll do it in a dream. Because
I mean, that makes Knuckles, as much sense as anything.
Knuckles introduces himself as being the guardian of the Master Emerald. And they're like, that's what they've always done. Right. That wasn't just brought into existence, recently.
Right.
Always the Master Emerald, alone on this island.
But no, that's not what he does in the comics.
But no, that's not how it works.
No. I mean, maybe this was Knuckles seeing into the game universe.
That's what I thought. I thought it was like a vision of another world.
But then they show Echidnopolis anyway, so...
oh, yeah. You're right. That's true. They do show it in the game.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Whoops. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. It's very strange. Well, but these comics are strange, so...
There you go.
And more than this is... Like, what significance does Angel Island being grounded hold here? Because in the games, you can make a lot of sort of sociocultural, environmental, or even practical reasons for it being in the sky. Like, we don't know exactly what happened in the games to put it in the sky, but it was put there for a reason, and probably as some sort of punishment to the Echidnas for being bastards, right?
Right.
And
I don't know if that's explicitly stated in the games.
It's not explicitly stated, but it's on the ground in Tikal's flashbacks, and then it's in the sky after that. So that's the games, and Knuckles wants to keep it safe and protected there. But in the comics, Angel Island was sent into the sky as a temporary measure to protect from a meteor impact, and it serves as sort of a symbol of the Echidna's isolationist beliefs in the comics, right? So doesn't that mean that it should be grounded in this universe?
Should meaning ought to be, or
yeah. Isn't this kind of a good thing, like thematically speaking?
Yeah, probably. The comic does actually more explicitly address why it becomes a problem, to be fair, later.
Yeah, but well, it's just the only reason it wasn't taken down before is because there wasn't a safe way to do it. That was Dimitri's whole thing, so...
Yeah, that's another thing. This is a thing just in Sonic in general, is that Angel Island can just fall to the ground. It's totally fine. He does it twice. He does it twice in Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
And that always bugs me. But yeah, I guess...
That's always a weird one.
It could just fall, and it's no problem. So yeah, I guess they're problem solved.
Well, and so the thing in Archie is that Angel Island moves in Archie. That's the difference, because it was originally part of Down Under, and they broke it off the ground. But here you can clearly see it falls into the ocean, and the mainland is, the Mystic Ruins in this version. So it's like, well, that does cause a tsunami every time, but it's like, it could have fallen a much worse place.
Yeah,
I'm sure that still should be more troublesome than it actually is.
Well, sure.
Anywho, so Knuckles says that they're all doomed, but I don't think there's a single casualty in universe from this. And we get to see one of the most hilarious parts of Archie's SA1 adaptation, which is how they handle chaos in this continuity.
This shit is so stupid.
They're just like, oh, okay, so we're gonna just do a whole bunch of stuff that just happened. Just roll with it.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
Pretty much, yeah.
We have Eggman finding chaos like you might expect, but the problem is that Eggman does not find it in Angel Island or the Mystic Ruins. It finds it in Cat Country, wherever the hell that is.
Black Chaos Emerald.
Yes.
Or just Black Emerald. I don't know if it's actually a Chaos Emerald.
I don't think... Well, I was about to say I don't think it is, but then I realized In these comics, there's a million Chaos Emeralds.
Well,
so
and it is
possible.
also related to Chaos.
Black, comma,
we're
Chaos,
more
comma, Emerald.
Explicitly told that it was like just put in there later.
That's true.
So it doesn't have to be related to Chaos.
That's fair.
But we skipped over the part that really confused me, which is so in Sonic Adventure the game, Eggman is just like waltzing around in the Mystic Ruins and he finds these stone tablets and he's like, oh, look, it's Chaos. But here, Eggman looks into the files of OG Robotnik. And, like, apparently, OG Robotnik just knew about Chaos and had a diagram of perfect Chaos? How?
Maybe
solid-ass question.
The one to find the murals and tablets, but it is very intricate, so I have no idea.
It implies that they encountered perfect Chaos, which I feel like we would have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or heard of it, at least. Like, perfect Chaos showing up is not like a... You know, you can't keep that on the down low, I don't think.
Right.
No. That is odd, I agree. And we've skipped over, or rather, we haven't said the funniest thing about all of this, which is why it's a Black Emerald. Why this instead of the Master Emerald? Do you guys remember why? It's because the Master Emerald already has a different guy sealed inside
Right.
it.
Yeah, it's got Mogul in it.
Good old...
I find that utterly hilarious.
I mean, yeah, that is funny.
This entire adaptation is going to bend over backwards, fixing plot problems in order to bring things in line with Sonic Adventure. It's hilarious. Every time when they could have just taken the super straightforward approach, they have to take a really circuitous one instead.
Yeah, they bend over backwards and be like, oh shit, this, like, really fucks with our continuity. We gotta figure out a way to make it work, though.
I don't know if that necessitated inventing 7 power emeralds?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they go over the top.
Yes, exactly.
Like, if I were to do it, I would have just been like, okay, crack open the Master Emerald. Mogul, like, summons Chaos as, like, a minion of his.
There you go.
That's all I would have done. Instead, they're like, no, there's a Black Emerald, there's a Cat Country, and also, like I said, apparently Robotnik already knew about it, and, like, I don't know, they're going all around and all over the place with this.
Well,
and they're going to do that with every detail.
That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Eggman saying that Chaos requires 7 power emeralds to restore it to full function. What's the hell is a power emerald?
Oh, right. So this is... This is just unnecessary. They could have just been like 7 Chaos Emeralds, but somebody was really upset that the Chaos Emeralds are all green. And so they had to invent new emeralds that weren't green. Like, I don't think anyone would have cared if you just changed their color.
Well, and
that is such a minor thing.
They're going to be referred to as Chaos Emeralds, Super Emeralds, Shards of the Master Emerald, and also be both colored and green at various points in this adaptation.
Yeah, isn't this adaptation great?
Well, we're skipping ahead here.
I mean,
we can talk about that when we get there. But for now, I think he just needs Shards of the Master Emerald.
Something like that. It doesn't really matter. They're all made out of the same stuff in Archie, basically, so it almost doesn't matter.
Right. I'm not sure if it looks different later, but in this one frame, when Eggman is approaching Angel Island, he's got his Shadow Swap bots, and it looks like he's got a Shadow Egg Carrier too.
Yeah, that's definitely the Egg Carrier, but I think it's just drawn in Shadow.
I guess. Yeah.
Threw me through the loop for a second.
Yeah. But I do like this next bit, which is that Eggman decides to just rampage across Angel Island to get the Master Emerald, and then he's just like, oh shit, what is this city doing here? Oh well, whatever, I'll destroy it.
I mean, you know what? I'll give you that for Eggman. That's something he would do.
Listen, for Penders to not even have Eggman give a shit and just be like, whatever, I'm taking what I want. That is the most Eggman that he's ever written Eggman, I think.
Yeah?
It's actually quite surprising. Because, I mean, I guess Penders was just in a hurry to finish... Well, actually, he wasn't in a hurry, because... Did they have to do it in as many issues as they did? Did they have to draw it out, the adaptation?
I don't know exactly how it worked.
You probably never will. But, point is, the fact that Eggman comes in, does the job, and leaves, like, in one fell swoop, it seems very strange to me. like, he encounters almost no resistance at all. I find that surprising. But not as surprising as when he goes in and he's like, ha ha ha, it's the Master Emerald. All the power that I need. I'll just blow it up.
Yeah, you know.
Why?
Why would you not just throw the entire thing in the goop? I don't know.
Yeah, like, seriously.
Yeah.
But, good job, I guess. You know, for a Pender story, it wasn't too bad.
I mean, probably because it was mostly
game stuff he was contractually obligated to write.
Yeah, game stuff.
Yeah.
With game stuff flashbacks, like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's a whole lot he could do.
We do see Mogul get released, you are correct.
Yeah.
That is true.
Like, oh shoot. They did remember about Mogul.
Yeah.
Great. Excited.
So, yeah, good on you for that one, I suppose. And bad on you for this next one, because we have the final part of Tales of the Great War. Remember that, you guys?
Yay.
I wish I didn't.
I would have forgotten about it if not for the fact that I knew it was coming. But yes, Life Underground, written by Penders, drawn by Chris Allen. Jules reveals that he was the one who roboticized Bernadette, and Chuck left behind a mysterious disc that could contain further revelations. I don't think they ever pick up this plotline again.
Nice.
Disc? What disc? Where is there a disc?
He leaves like a personal log.
I'm seeing Lauren like frantically scroll through the comics looking for it right now.
Literally what I'm doing, and I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, because it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Like,
right?
they talked this up like it was gonna be some dark reveal, and it really isn't.
It really... Yeah, it's kind of the reveal, well, quote-unquote reveal, is pretty underwhelming.
So it's like we have Chuck being depressed that his brother was turned into a mindless machine. Yeah, no kidding. And Bernadette is like, well, we need to do something to help, so she goes there, and she sees that Robotnik is using him for cheap labor, and then she gets mad, and then he's like, toss her in the roboticizer, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
What else happens? Everybody's robot slaves. Chuck frees their brains with the ring trick. They stayed hidden from Sonic because yada yada yada. There's a war going on.
They already said as much. This isn't even new information.
Almost none of this stupid mini arc is new information.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems with this.
I don't understand the purpose of this, like, mini arc.
Is
it just filler?
I think that Penders found the setting compelling of the war and its aftermath, and thought the idea of a historical drama documenting its events would be cool. The problem is you don't have interesting events to show that haven't already been explained to us.
Right.
See, it's not... I actually agree that this period is interesting, and I've said as much before that I think like a miniseries or something focusing on it would be great, but not a whole shoved to the side, split apart story that doesn't try to be creative at all and simply just follows the plot beats. That's the problem, is that he's not even trying. He's just like, Robotnik got the roboticizer, and then he like started turning people into robots for kicks. Like, there's nothing interesting going on here.
There really isn't.
The most I can say is that it is possible that this data disk that I really don't think they ever do anything with it, but you know, they say, oh, we can't decode it without Chuck because he's still under Eggman's control. It is possible that may have been Pender's original intention for how to get de-roboticization working. I don't know that, and I don't think Penders has ever said. That's my theory.
Interesting.
But whatever. So that's the issue. 3 stories setting up future stories with no conclusion of their own.
Yay.
Yep.
The most I can say is that it wasn't Baller's fault.
Yeah.
But hey, we do multiple comics per episode, so we are heading here into Sonic the Hedgehog number 80. 80 big smackaroonie issues. Hey, it's Big the Cat.
Heck yeah, boy,
big boy.
And a slightly fugly Eggman. I don't know if Spaziant drew that one. It doesn't look like it.
He is a little on the fugly side, but you gotta love all Eggmen.
No, yes. Yeah, I like it. You know, we gotta get some just bizarre Eggman faces, because we don't have the whole bizarre design of Robotnik anymore. So this is good.
That is fair.
Alright, well, let's get into the story here. If wishes were acorns, ballers and fry. The freedom fighters are shocked to discover Amy Rose, now an older teen by way of the Ring of Acorns. The loss of a potential asset in healing the queen is troubling, but that doesn't stop the gang from departing for the City of Ancients anyway. And yes, she wished to have her character design updated.
Yep, that's true. Okay, so on the one hand, Amy's a kid, so I can't blame them too much. However, it is a pretty jerk move to take the ultra powerful, well, I mean, I didn't realize it, but she obviously knew that there was a powerful wish granting artifact around. I guess she didn't know that it would get like fizzled immediately after using it either. So yeah, I don't know. It's just the result is so stupid. Like you used it for this, but I guess
think
it's not really.
Thing.
It's a waste, is what it is.
Yeah, it's just a waste.
Yeah.
And this is something that made a lot of readers at the time really hate Amy because, you know, for comic fans that weren't really into the games at all, they sort of viewed this as Amy she's the outsider trying to force her way into the group and causing problems doing it. You know, the more troubling implication, of course, is that you have a child's mind in an adult body, which they'll eventually retcon as like, oh, she matured brain-wise later.
Right.
But it's like, you know, in the games, she's just a little younger than Sonic and still older than Tails. But now, you know, Sega has a new design for her, and they really start, you know, wanting to play up the Sonami dynamic in the games, or rather, the Sonami hostage situation. And, you know, there's no good way out of this for the comic writers. It makes it come across as a little weird, and it's not their fault, obviously, but it's like, yeah, it's weird. What I would have done here is...
Alright, we've got Devin's master plan.
They never explicitly stated exactly how old Amy was in the comics, so I would have her... Like, you do a screen wipe as she, like, brushes her hair in the morning and, you know, gets herself a makeover of her style. And they have a gag where Tails assumes that she's the same age as him, but she's like, actually, I'm, like, 15. And he's like, wow, really?
Yeah, I was just going for, like, the little kid fashion.
Yeah, I just dress like an 8-year-old because my parents died in a war and I've been traumatized, but I'm getting over it. No, actually, that's making it weirder.
Good for you, Amy. You get over your trauma.
The point is, they should have hand-waved it instead of making it an important plot point.
Yes.
True.
And what's hilarious is that, you know, she's like, oh, I wanted to be a real freedom fighter by doing this. And you'd think that, like, by making that mistake, she'd have to atone for that somewhat. But no, it kind of works.
It really does. They're just like, all right, cool, kid. You're a freedom fighter now.
I mean, Nate says, like, okay, well, I want to make sure that there's no bad side effects on you for this, but...
Sure. I can appreciate
rewarded
that.
For it.
Yeah.
But I don't... Well, maybe it's later, but not in the issues that we're covering today. Nate never actually does that, so...
Oh, I assume it's done off screen. Like,
I guess you can say that.
There don't end up being side effects, so I guess she's fine. It does make me feel bad for the Acorn siblings, especially since, and this pisses me off, they are keeping it secret from Sally. Elias and Max are not telling her that the state her mom is in is as bad as it is.
Right.
Because,
well, you know, the long history of not telling Sally things is a tradition at this point.
That is true, it is.
Sally is the comics punching bag, and it's gonna get worse before it gets better, but it's also gonna get better before it gets worse again. It's gonna be weird.
That's true.
But, yeah. So, there's this little bit here where Sonic actually struggles saying goodbye to his mom and dad because the last time he did that, they were gone when he came back.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, this would be a nice character moment if the very last story we read wasn't Tales from the Great War, which says that Sonic was just an unaware baby through the whole thing.
Right.
But, you know, that's the difference in writers. Also, hi, Mina. Bye, Mina.
Yeah, they Mina keeps showing up, and I know she's going to be important at some point.
I burst into a fit of rage for a few frames, and then calm down as soon as she's gone.
Mina hasn't done anything wrong at this point. She's okay.
Not yet.
Oh boy.
Listen. I'm not going to say that I find Mina compelling as a character. I don't think she's hateable. Anyway.
Well, you're wrong.
Jesus Christ.
So the gang is going to set out in their 2 planes.
And wow, the planes have very different levels of technology.
Yeah, we have the sci-fi jet, the Freedom Fighter Special, and then we just have regular-ass biplane that is finally called the Tornado.
The Freedom Fighter Special is like a fucking SR-71. This thing
it's way behind Tails' craft. I mean, seriously.
Well, yeah, clearly.
It doesn't have Chaos Emerald power for one thing.
Tails' craft is clearly the superior plane.
That's Super Emerald, not Chaos Emerald.
Okay, they're the same thing, basically, though. Look, this is the Super Emeralds I know, where you can go hyper with them, so might as well be a Chaos Emerald.
Nate mentions on the way that the ancient town is in fact not the Mystic Ruins, but an industrialized city full of pure-blooded humans, which they make a weird distinction here to say that the Overlanders we've met up to this point only have 4 fingers, while full-blooded humans have 5. Even though all Mobians have 5 fingers, and also the artists have definitely drawn humans with 5 fingers before now.
They definitely have, but I have noticed in the past that Overlanders tend to have 4 fingers.
They've never kept it consistent, so... And the thing is that doesn't matter. They never make this distinction important, so...
Fair enough.
So, we set out, and the city resides inside of a mountain with a crashed airplane on it, which kind of looks like the Sonic OVA.
Yeah, it does.
It's completely what I thought.
I'm wondering if it was supposed to be like a Koi reference.
You know, the OVA was, like, I think this comic book is from, 98, 99? And the OVA was released in, I think it was stateside in 99, but it might have been earlier than that in Japan. So it might be, a thing. But yes, this mountain was sheltered from the first days of Fury, which we saw in Naugus's origin story. There were a lot of explosions.
Yes, there were.
And take a random minecart inside, even though Tails flies his plane inside. I guess the jet is too big.
Another reason why it's superior.
Clearly.
Yeah. And surprise, the actual city is Station Square, even though we had that spoiled for us. Complete with its own fake moon.
That's a weird one. Why is there artificial, moons, an artificial moon?
Because it needs to still look like Station Square from the games.
I guess.
This is, again, a very odd decision. You could have just made a city, but instead they had to make a whole big deal about how it's.
I mean, honestly, it could have just been another Overlander city.
Like, I think the thing is, I thought, okay, they're finally going to explain what happened to the Overlanders. There have been little hints. No, a completely different, unrelated group. We're not going to resolve that plot line right now.
I think they wanted a clean break between those two groups of humans. I think that's even why they did the finger thing, probably, is because the Overlanders we've seen up to this point have been warmongers in a sci-fi super society. And
that's true.
These guys are meant to be very conventional humans because Station Square in the games, it's just Earth, there's no post-apocalypse in the games.
Just say something about how, A, the war changed their ways, and B, it ruined their technology, so they're behind again. It's not that hard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And neither does Penders. It's time for a Knuckles story!
Once again.
Yay.
This is Landfall, Penders and Butler. Knuckles convenes with the Guardians to assess Robotnik's attack on Echidnapolis and resolves to rebuild the shattered Master Emerald. Meanwhile, his friends get kidnapped or something.
Yeah.
Knuckles enters here with just the father figure I'm looking for. He is your dad. What are you saying that for?
Shitty writing.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say, yeah. Not necessarily.
Every once in a while, Pender's dialogue will have a sentence that sounds like it's a play on words, but isn't. I think it really is just kind of bad. So we see the Echidnas finally discovering Robotnik is back and attacking their city. And I was right, by the way. The only thing dropping the island did was leave them open to attacks by others. The impact caused no damage to the island itself.
Somehow.
Of course.
Purple Man. Is this one Thunderhawk? Is that his name?
Probably.
I almost had their names, but no, I've forgotten all their names now.
I think the purple one is Thunderhawk. He, for some reason, presents restoring the damage Eggman dealt and fighting Eggman as an either-or choice, which is weird. He says you can either fight Eggman or restore the island, but we can't do both, even though we have a giant pile of Magic Grandpas. You can't distribute them?
No, because that would make too much sense.
Like all the magic grandpas have to work on the single one goal.
They all have to work together, because if they don't work together, they get
work.
distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like though that Knuckles hasn't lost his disdain for said magic grandpas, because he takes a quick opportunity to talk about how, if you just like fought Eggman with Sally, this wouldn't have happened.
As we say, we always love seeing Knuckles call these guys out, but we hate the fact that it never amounts to anything.
Well, I have to take what I can get.
Yeah. Knuckles instead is tasked with finding the Emerald Shards, which have ended up in Mysterious Cat Country. Do you guys want to come up with a name for the place instead of just calling it Cat Country?
No, they don't.
Yeah, no, it won't get one until Ian Flynn shows up years later. But yes, so the Guardians are doing their own thing, and Knuckles is like, I'm gonna do something productive. And then the Chaotix get captured by cat people.
Whoops.
They're
really kind of creepy looking cat people.
Yeah, they don't have pupils. What the hell?
Yeah.
They're not different species. They're still Mobians. I guess Butler's design work is just not suited to Sonic style or something. I don't know. I don't have anything else specific to say about this.
I'm just going to say I do find it funny, though, that rather than crashing down the ground, they're like, oh, that's not a problem. Shoot, we have to make some sort of issue with crashing to the ground. Oh, yeah, we'll just make this race of, unfriendly people that immediately attack you. Sounds good.
Yeah,
yeah,
for us.
This is what pissed me off, is that it's validating the isolationist belief system. Like, they get down and immediately get attacked by these outsiders. Oh, scary.
Well, that's the problem, as we've touched on before, is the Brotherhood are always wrong, except that they're always right.
Yeah. But hey, we get one more story, which is what everybody wanted to see, which is Ken Penders riding Big the Cat.
I couldn't ask for anything better than this. Introducing Big the Cat in a solo story.
Written
Incredible.
by Penders.
Yes, this is Big the Cat in Swallowing Trouble, written by Penders and drawn by Jim Valentino. And yes, a big friendly oaf named Big the Cat finds himself on a rescue mission when his beloved companion Froggy ingests a strange pool of water and is kidnapped by a badnik.
And that's why you don't drink random water, children.
It's a frog. What do you expect it to do?
Well, I actually expected a little more of this one because, surprise, surprise, in the comics, Froggy is characterized with thought bubbles, a la Snoopy.
Froggy's like sentient.
Yeah, I was gonna say Garfield, but same difference. Yeah, I think Penders just doesn't know how to write things without dialogue.
That's certainly 100% true.
Yeah.
So yes, Froggy is very much anthropomorphized in this story, up until he eats the chaos water, after which grows a tail and then just stops having thoughts.
Well, chaos on the brain.
But the one thing here that is clever, is that this is set in Cat Country, and it is very convenient for Penders, because the whole thing with the cat people is a plot line that Penders wanted to do in the Knuckles comics after the King of the Hill getting shot at arc. So it just conveniently happens to coincide with Big, as a native of the Mystic Ruins, being a big cat man. So it was complete coincidence, but it actually worked out for the best for him.
It's true.
If not for the fact that Big looks nothing like his countrymen, but
Well, that's fine, because his design is perfect, and I'm glad they didn't try to change. Not that they could anyway.
No, we are big fans here.
Yes.
Of Big, not Penders.
I'm also a big fan of Gamma.
Yes, Gamma shows up.
Got Gamma all of a sudden.
Well, Gamma doesn't just steal Frog, he also punches Big in the face, or shoots him, maybe?
So you got that backwards. Big
punches Omega.
Is a cat of action, yes, in this continuity. Sees their friend get taken, time to punch that robot right now. Granted, in the games, they could cause some damage too, but this still surprised me, like right off the bat.
Yeah. Okay,
doesn't go too well, but the effort is
Gamma
appreciated.
Shoots him and then punches Gamma, yeah.
The thing that confuses me about this, really, though, is that Froggy just swallowed Chaos, right? And then Gamma just shows up immediately and takes him.
Yeah, there's a causality problem.
That's not how it works.
Gamma is supposed to be sent by Eggman to find Froggy, but how would he find Froggy if there's nothing to get with him? He's supposed to have Chaos's tail, that's why he wants him. How would Eggman know?
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird.
I do like that Penders' dialogue style means that he can't really write Big as brainalized as Sonic Team does, so he's written him a little bit smarter here.
I do appreciate that,
And it
because
makes
I had my things to say about the way Big was written and voice acted.
Yeah, it makes the final panels where Big, he clenches his fist and says, "Nobody takes my buddy if they know what's good for him." And he's like, silhouette walking into the sunset, like he's on a mission of violence.
Damn right
I
he
must
is.
say, I like this version of Big. Like, they've
God
done him good so
bless.
far.
Yeah, I don't think that there's ever a comic that fucks up Big that bad.
That is a real blessing to hear.
That's always good.
Yeah. But that is the issue, so steadily progressing into Sonic the Hedgehog number 81, and well, Knuckles' face isn't looking perfect, but Chaos is here, and Gamma, and I guess a building is on fire?
Yep.
Like they usually are.
Yeah. But we have here City of Dreams, written by Ballers, artists James Fry, and also Nelson Ribeiro. They change it partway through, I think. The Freedom Fighters meet the residents and leaders of Station Square and explore the city. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Sonic and friends are shocked to discover that the human city is indeed a human city.
What?
This panel was edited in the original release to the digital version, and I'll let you guys see how. Sonic and his friends, yeah, they're shocked to discover, and they're immediately confronted by the Mega Man police.
Yeah, the Mega Man police are certainly interesting.
It's funny because this is an era before Gun, and so they just kind of had to decide how they would design these characters, even though,
True.
like in SA1, they don't look like real-world cops, but they look more like real-world cops. These guys, they're Mega Man.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they recognize Nate because I guess Nate has been here before.
He said as much already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they're like, "Oh, well, come to the Station Square Hotel to meet the mayor." And it's the Sonic Adventure 1 hotel. It doesn't really look like it because the colors are off, but that's fine. And they meet with Mayor Giuliani. They based him off Rudy Giuliani. I meant to say his name correct there, but I fucked up.
It's fine.
It was a different time. He had not gone as far off the rails as he has now, but it's still really funny.
Yeah, it's still funny though.
But it's basically an excuse to tour the SA1 landmarks. We get to see Casinopolis, get to see the trains and such. And Ribeiro draws some whack-ass faces. I wish that Fry got to keep the whole story to himself. Amy gets a women be shopping moment. Tails gets to fly the tornado in their artificial atmosphere. And they mention at one point, like, I better make sure not to fly into the roof of the mountain. And it's like, that seems really dangerous.
Well, yeah. I assume they don't have a whole lot of air travel in Station Square.
Yeah, that's why everybody's like, wow, look at that kid.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, what the fuck is that? We've never seen one of those before.
Yeah. Sonic gets to flirt with some human women, which is weird, and a couple of them are definitely... Isn't that Cammy and Chun-Li from Street Fighter there?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
They just can't help but have references whenever the humans show up.
We need to make the kids know we know anime.
I guess.
Sonic.
Even though the anime ends up looking really out of place compared to a lot of the rest of the characters who aren't anime.
Yeah, but that's such a big Sonic problem in general. It's like we only pointed out in regards to the Mobians because the games can get those right. With the humans, it's like, Sonic, it's only 1999. The world won't be ready for you to flirt with human women for 7 years.
Jesus Christ.
Also, said human women haven't seen anthropomorphic animals before, so, like...
Yeah, what is this implying?
Does it make sense to be so immediately taken to a bizarre creature you've never seen before?
Yeah, when the cops show up, they're like, these animals can talk? So, which is it, guys? Thankfully, it never gets that weird. Never dwells on it. And not dwelling on it is, a famed hobby of ours. And then the story ends because, as usual, we're stuck with half a story until they work out the actual pacing of this.
The end here is where they're talking and the mayor is like, oh, we don't call ourselves overlanders, we call ourselves humans. Like, that is such a minor detail to clarify, but man, they're just dedicated to clarifying and correcting every single little thing so that it's perfectly in line, and yet they'll still fail.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, so they're establishing some inter-society relations, I guess, because they can probably mutually benefit each other with aid, especially since Robotnik is a threat. So that's where it ends. And then we got some Penders with all you need is a bit of chaos with Penders and Butler. Robotnik sends his new robots out to hunt Chaos Emeralds when the shards fail to make Chaos transform, and Knuckles finds a couple for himself. Meanwhile, the Chaotix are still kidnapped.
True.
That is
I don't know
true.
if you can tell, my plot summaries are getting a bit less patient with some of the writing here.
On this first Knuckles page, because we got this really kind of disgusting zoom in on Eggman's eyes, or like his face.
It is weird, but again, I kind of like it.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah. It's very Robotnik-y. But
Eggman was really blind to the fact that blowing up the emerald really was stupid, because now he only has some of the shards, and it doesn't re-energize Chaos, because in this version of events, Chaos just doesn't form until he eats enough for some reason.
He's just a blob right now.
Yeah, it's a weird addition. I don't understand the point, really.
Yeah, it's like, you shouldn't have fucking blown up the thing then, jerk.
Yeah.
It's all like this Eggman doesn't really seem to think things through very much.
Yeah, case in point, he blew up the emerald, but the shards scattered everywhere, so Knuckles is finding some for himself, so he didn't even get all of them. Why would you not just take it?
Very, very dumb.
Yeah.
And yeah, Knuckles finds some while talking / thinking to himself, as he is wont to do in Pender's stories. I don't think there's anything substantive here. It's really just, oh, this sure is a situation. I wish that it wasn't, and I'm looking for shards. Like, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It took 6 pages to do this.
One detail. With the E-Series robots that are all lined up, Gamma is here. No Frog. Just like to say that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, yes, Knuckles, yes. There isn't a whole lot going on here. It's actually more about the Chaotix, I think.
Yeah, but we don't even get to learn much about what's going on with them either, because they basically just say, "Why are you taking us?" And they're like, "Shut up," and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, yeah, because the way these writers focus on like, oh, this is important, is by not actually explaining anything. That's how you know it's an important plot thread, is when they continue to not develop it at all. And so this is an important plot thread.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going to be around for way too fucking long.
The Chaotix only get 2 pages, and it's just like, rah.
But at least they're being led somewhere, and not just wandering around. So
that's true.
That's something. Sure is.
Yeah,
it sure is something, all right.
These 10-second stories are hard to get into. Speaking of which,
they really are.
A third story, Amy Rose in A Rose Plucked, written by Ballers, drawn by Chris Allen. On a shopping trip, Amy encounters a mysterious bird being chased by badniks. When she steps in to help, she finds herself captured instead. It's the Amy cutscene from SA1, complete with Birdie and Zero both being colored wrong.
Guy in the first frame, that guy behind Amy, he looks really angry at her.
He's giving her the stink eye.
He really is.
Well, I mean, she just bought a whole bunch of stuff somehow, which...
That is a good question. How did she buy all of that?
Like, I was going to bring that up before. I don't actually know, now that I think about it. Do they use rings? Not in, like, Mobian cities? Have we even touched on what currency they use?
This is a Sonic-wide problem, because, you know, in the games you'll often pay rings or maybe some other kind of collectible for stuff. In the shows, in the comics, in the lore of the games, they can never decide how money works. Like, even the Chaotix in Heroes were like, we gotta pay the rent. They don't show what the money is. You never see coins, you never see dollars, and SEGA actually prohibits supplementary material from depicting currency in any way, which is hilarious when it is directly involved with the Chaotix.
That's so weird.
That is so fucking weird.
Because I was gonna ask... Whichever currency it is, I really don't think it makes sense that this city that's been cut off for many, many years would use the same currency.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I have no idea how they would pay for anything. So maybe that guy is angry at Amy because she stole a bunch of stuff.
Exactly. That's what I was kind of trying to lead it to.
You know what? Sure, why not?
I'm sorry for stealing your bit, then.
No, it's fine. Yeah, Zero is here, as is Birdie. It's the cutscene.
It's supposed to be blue.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
that's true.
How do you get that Zero is at least green? It's too much red on him, but how do you get that he's green and then make Birdie green? But yes, so Zero attacks and she saves Birdie, and there's this really weird bit because Amy is like, "I'll get you," and then the hammer just appears in her hand.
Yeah, she just suddenly has the hammer.
I cannot believe this. It was so easy. Literally, come up with any reason that she would have a hammer.
Yeah.
She just finds a hammer in the store and is like, "That's cool."
She just like, cool.
She was just at a store. But no. It has to magically appear. Why?
Well, it's not like the game's ever had a justification for it. She has a hammer because randomly pulling out a giant mallet and whacking someone with it is a gag, you know?
Right.
And if you had, like, you could play this for comedy. You could have Zero slowly get up closer and closer behind her, and you could play it like she doesn't notice it. And then the page turn is that then you move to that panel of her uppercutting him with it, and it's like, yeah, I got the hammer. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Well,
Going out of their way to justify it has made it worse.
Yeah, if they felt the need to explain it, because the key thing is that Amy's appeared in other stories and never used it before. That is a little strange. But yeah, they didn't even need to. You're right. They could just pull it out. I mean, yeah, that does lean into the comedy aspect. But these comics are hyper obsessed with explaining everything at this point. So I don't expect them to not explain something, except by accident. Birdie doesn't look like they have anything with them. It looks like it's just an empty container. I assume, based on later events, that they have a super emerald, but it doesn't look like it.
No. And there's another causality problem here, because for some fucking reason, Zero kidnaps Amy but leaves the bird, even though the bird is supposed to be what has the emerald.
Yeah.
And also there's two of him.
Yeah, there's 2 zeros too. They screwed that up.
Oh my god. That's right. Oh my god.
Listen, they had to rush, I know that they were working off a lot of incomplete information, but what the hell?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It doesn't feel like giving them the benefit of the doubt is worth it.
I'm not having fun. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep things moving here to Sonic the Hedgehog number 82. And hell yeah, look at this cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has some kind of like
that's a
fish
solid
islands?
cover.
Like warping the building.
Yeah, it's like a fisheye lens from the ground or from like just behind Chaos. I have one problem. Chaos seems really small.
Really? I mean, it doesn't look that small to me.
Maybe not really small, but kind of small.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess he's a little small. He does look about the same size as Sonic, so.
Yeah.
Either way, I still like the art. It's pretty cool cover.
Oh yeah, it's still a cool ass cover.
So, our story for this is Night of Chaos, written by Ballers and drawn by, I think, Fry and Ribeiro, maybe some Spaziant in there somewhere. There's no credits on this. While racing through the city, Sonic discovers the police in conflict with a monster made of water.
So, did they actually get, like, a copy of the game at this point? Because this issue starts, like, following things very closely.
It does. Some of it's even word for word for the...
Yes, the game was already out by this point, I think.
Yeah, at this point, some of it's word for word.
Not Sonic's introduction, though, because instead they have him make dumb superhero comic book references.
Right.
Where he says, I feel like my favorite comic book and adventure heroes, The Rush, The Dark Bat, and The Super Surfer.
This is just a bizarre intro. You had a perfectly good intro, but then they had to replace it for some reason.
Oh yeah, this is happening.
Can't believe they didn't include the iconic line.
But in fairness, at least the art is pretty good. It looks about as cool as you could ever expect the Sonic versus Chaos fight to look here. I like it.
Yeah, the art looks pretty solid. I can appreciate good art.
Yeah, I especially like the 2-page spread where Sonic gets shot at by Chaos from the light pole. I think that's the one that looks like it was drawn by Spaziant.
I mean, it looks
cool,
so I believe that.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty solid. It's a pretty solid fight.
Definitely.
And I love that they adapted not just the ending quotes with Sonic saying, I'll play with you some other time, but also the ranking when he says, yeah, not bad. It's hilarious.
He even calls him "ya big drip."
I believe that more because it's a cutscene thing, but it is absolutely hilarious that they included the
love that
victory
they
line.
actually that
That's
is
almost
so perfect.
like fourth wall level of referencing. And then once again, Eggman's just standing on a building for no reason.
Yeah, in the game the cops ran off, but there's clearly police helicopters right over. How do they not see him?
Clearly they don't.
I guess not.
Right.
To be fair, in this continuity, they don't know Eggman, so...
that is a good point. They just know that someone named Eggman is a threat.
Yeah, so all things considered, pretty good adaptation of the start of SA1. There's not a lot to conflict. I think that dialogue at the start is done, but overall, did a good job. Good job, guys.
Yep, and now we get no more good story, and we get back to nipples.
Yes. Instead, we get more Knuckles. We all love that.
Good old Nickels.
This is Door to the Past, Penders and Butler. While exploring the ruins, a ghost from the past gives Knuckles a crash course on the history of the Knuckles clan, their war with the Cat Tribes, and their defeat at the hands of the Chaos. Meanwhile, Locke arrives to rescue the Chaotix. Can you tell my descriptions are getting exasperated now? So we start with Knuckles, in the Mystic Ruins, and he gets hit by Tikal's hint ball, and starts hallucinating, and that is not Tikal!
That's not Tikal!
Yeah, what the heck is wrong with Tikal?
Yeah, what? And then I don't think she's ever drawn like that ever again.
Yeah, somehow they get her design right in the flashback, but not in the hallucination.
Shit, not even in the flashback. Literally the next fucking page.
So, no, yeah, she's correct in the yellowish flashback, but not the orangish flashback. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, that's true. In the orange flashback, she's also wrong.
It's bizarre. What are they doing? What are they doing? I feel like Penders didn't like Tikal's design, and so he was like, oh, "Okay, I'll draw her. I'll say that she looked like she did in the game when she was younger, and then when she was older, she looks like an actual echidna."
But she's a ghost.
Well, but when you're the ghost, you're old. That's what Star Wars taught me. I don't know. Anyhow, I think the hint bubble it's colored green, so I thought it was like some plant spore or something. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what it
yellow,
looks like.
But it leaves a green trail.
But yeah, it's the same old thing. Mm-hmm. Nothing too different here. Although there is actually a shockingly clever reference to the games here, because rather than just drawing normal Chow, the Chow have animal features on them, which is really cool.
Yeah, they actually took something from the games. Holy shit.
Right?
It's weird when Penders does it, but
holy shit, they're actually acknowledging the game's existence.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the Knuckles clan is warring against the Cat clan. Okay, but I gotta fit in the new continuity.
Well, so this is something that is I don't know how I feel about this, because the Knuckles clan in the games, they weren't good, right? They were fighting a war and they wanted to use the emeralds to win it, but you didn't get an exact sense of what they were like in the game other than war bad. In this continuity specifically, they depart from Albion as violent colonizers and wanted to wipe the cat people out. And all of the quote-unquote intelligent echidnas were like, no, we're not doing this. And so they left. And so Pachacamic is an even bigger piece of shit here, I guess.
Yeah.
The most I can say is that this is actually more succinct than it was in SA1, where you just kind of got it piecemealed out to random people. On the other hand, you have no room to breathe.
Real.
Right.
So, yeah, odd.
That's definitely one of the words to use.
It's accurate.
We're kind of speeding through parts of the story here, but not other parts. We get the entire Gamma Frogs cutscene in, one page, basically?
Yeah.
This story has to be taking place out of order now that I think about it, because Chaos isn't fully formed, and yet he fought Sonic. So they are telling this out of order. Why?
Huh.
That is, that's a good point.
It's weird. Yeah, because the whole thing is I need Chaos's tail to get him to fully form, which in the games that he doesn't have he doesn't have the tail here when he fully forms. In the games, that makes him Chaos 6, which attacks you with its tail.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, question, guys: are we maybe just overthinking it?
They clearly don't want us to think too hard.
That's where the fun is.
That's our job, also.
Yeah.
That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Meanwhile, we learn that the cats kidnapped the Chaotix because they thought that the island falling down was the echidnas trying to invade them.
Which makes perfect sense.
I mean, they've been in the sky for a long time. I don't know. It depends on how much they know about the echidnas. If they knew them from the Knuckles clan days, then yeah, it's kind of a bit of a conclusion. But if they knew that they were highly technological, you could assume that. I guess.
I don't blame them for being freaked out at the very least. But the fact that they then go there and kidnap, 4 random people, it's like, well...
Yeah, that's a bit much.
That's a weird one.
I'd sympathize them if Penders did not also add this line. I'd watch my mouth if I were you. We tend to eat our young if they get out of line. And it's like, Julie Sue's reaction to this is to say, that's so disgusting. I mean, Your Majesty, you're just kidding, right? That makes it seem like, yes, it is a joke. You're not supposed to think that hard about it. But no! This is something that Penders stands by as a canon fact, and wanted to declare true for multiple groups of Mobians. There is a tweet where somebody asks him, like, what's up with that? And he's like, yeah, that's a thing. So we're taking the colonized people that the echidnas wanted to genocide and declaring them a bunch of baby-eating savages.
Yay!
Wonderful.
We've used enough words to describe that there's something friggin' morally wrong with these comics, and this is another example. That's it. We're not going further. We're not taking this anywhere.
Alright.
Locke is here, and he says that he's prepared to refight the war your kind started years ago. Fuck off. You guys were the colonizers. Gamma story. E102 in Double Cross Circus. Yeah. Written and drawn by I don't know who. There's no credits on this one again. I assume it's Penders and Ribeiro, maybe? Chris Allen, maybe? And this is a crash course on the life and change in the mind of E102 Gamma. So we start in the Mystic Ruins base here with Gamma looking at the robot Sonics in the tubes, which I think is funny because apparently the artist didn't know what Metal Sonic and Silver Sonic look like, so they just look like Sonic Batman suits.
They do look kind of cool. I kind of like them.
I guess.
But I'm going to be honest, as far as the Gamma story goes, this kind of sucks. Because...
no, definitely.
I feel like there's not really anything actually happening.
Exactly. We have Eggman creating, training, and releasing Gamma in the wild, but we fast forward aside from everything that made him interesting. Because there's no Beta in this comic.
Yeah, where's Beta? That's integral, and they completely skipped over that.
Yeah.
There's no Beta, there's no discussion of, Badniks as a concept. And it means that at the end of this story, when we get the scene with Amy in the prison... There's not even a focus on the bird. There's no dialogue.
Yeah, no, that's...
Also, Amy looks like shit in this story.
True.
What's going... He just switches sides because she looks sad, I guess?
So, yeah, they completely screwed up Gamma's reason for turning against Eggman. It confused me a little bit.
I'm not surprised.
I had to think about it. I think... their motivation for portraying Eggman is, literally just because they felt sorry for Amy, and they felt sorry, I guess, also for the other E-series being destroyed, and so when they saw Amy, they were like, oh, wow, Eggman's a bad dude. Guess I better fight against him. But that is so lame compared to the much deeper motivations he gets in Sonic Adventure. And it's weird, because they had a few pages here, but they squandered them.
You could have done so much, and they did almost nothing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, shame about that one. At least we get the rest of the story next time. And by next time, I mean the rest of tonight. And also not the rest of the story.
No, it's not the
I
rest of
don't
the
think.
story.
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's get to it.
Let's move on to our final book of tonight, Sonic Super Special. Remember those? This is one of the last ones they did. There's two more after
wish
this.
I didn't.
And this is the last. Well, this is the last one that you should read. It's Sonic Adventure. We're finally here.
Hell yeah!
Look at that cover art. It really looks like the 3D promo art from the game, but it's 2D.
Yeah, it is, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll give it that.
Yeah, this story was big enough that this is one of the only specials that was properly included in the Sonic archives and not left to the Sonic Select books.
Huh.
I forgot about that.
And good on them for it, I guess, but also don't do that in the first place. Whatever.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course.
So let's get into it. Sonic Adventure, written by Carl Ballers and Ken Penders both, and drawn by Ron Lim, who fans will know for his art eventually getting a little bit weird. For right now, he's fine, serviceable. It's not great. It's okay, I guess.
Not bad.
Sonic and friends have to defeat Dr. Robotnik and keep the monster chaos from wreaking havoc. That is my entire summary. I guess I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, I mean, that...
We get a wicked crash course 2-page thing at the start here for anyone who didn't read the other comics. And I feel like they probably get about as much as we did, like, core story-wise.
Yeah, pretty much.
More or less.
I guess good on them for it, because I can imagine... if a kid liked Sonic Adventure, he would be more likely to buy this than the other series. So.
Probably.
Yeah. No, I think that was I think they realized that. But, we pick up, I guess, from the main story of last issue. Because, I guess, is that a puddle of water, not a puddle of chaos? Because that would be weird if chaos was just sitting out there.
Yeah, chaos is just waiting for Sonic to come out.
It was raining last night. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're in the hotel. The hotel is correctly colored now.
That's true. It is. That's very true.
And the mayor looks really different here versus the last issue. He's drawn completely differently.
Yeah, he's got a bit more of a anime look, maybe.
He looks. It's fine. It's like because this is the thing is that Ron Lim is fine at drawing humans. In fact. Fans of real comic books may know him for drawing the back half of the Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War miniseries. But Sonic faces are a little odd. Anyway.
That's right.
Right.
This isn't a real comic. That explains a lot of things.
Maybe a little bit.
Anyway, everybody realizes that Amy is missing, so we have to split up and find her.
Ah, yes, we have to split up. That's always a good fucking idea.
I mean, when you're searching a city for a lost child, that actually is kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It means that this is finally the issue where we get that hilarious panel of Antoine sitting on Bunny's shoulders as she uses the extendo legs.
Finally.
I photoshopped that for the Uncle Chad thumbnail back in Sad AM, so...
God, it was so nice to finally see that.
Yeah. At least they're included, but it's like, of course they're not going to find her, so...
No, of course not, because we can't have nice things.
Stuck looking at historical documents about chaos? What?
Yeah, Nate is like, I'm sure Amy's fine. I'd rather do some research. And Sally's like, I guess that sounds better.
And also, just all of the chaos stuff is perfectly documented, whereas... in the game, it seems like they were just, on a research expedition to the Mystic Ruins, like, now,
Right.
Right. I guess in the games, Eggman seemed to have a pretty good idea. And so I think he stole, the famous stone tablets. And that's why no one else really had a good idea. And so I guess it's not a huge stretch that it's documented, because I guess it was documented in the game, too.
But I guess it's not impossible. So,
but it is weird to just have the heroes with easy access to that. But this story is a little confusing. First of all, I don't know how I feel about characterizing chaos as like a literal god that is worshipped. I always thought that chaos was more like a spirit that comes out to protect the Chow, but it doesn't just sit there and stay away, or I'll kill you. Like, it only comes out when things are really bad. So that's a strange change. Second thing, I guess there was the Master Emerald at first, and then when Chaos showed up, then the Super Emeralds were created. And
yeah, we have no idea what this other giant gem is. Like, obviously it's the Master Emerald, but it's not our Master Emerald.
Right.
Yeah, it's
it's brilliant. It's avant-garde writing.
Yeah, what's important is that Sonic and Tails are going to find Chaos, and Knuckles sees them along the way and just kind of tags along, and then we fight Chaos again.
Yep. I guess this is Chaos knocks some emeralds off of Knuckles, and then it becomes Chaos 2.
Right.
Yes, and you'll notice that Knuckles is carrying what this comic calls Super Emeralds, even though they were supposed to be shards of the Master Emerald. It's just gonna be like that.
Okay, yes. So now I see what you were referring to, because I do have a note about that, and I thought that he just picked up Super Emeralds at some point because that's the only thing that makes sense. But maybe they did just transform into Super Emeralds.
Well, and
that doesn't make sense either, though.
Tails on the next page says, "Look, more pieces of the Master Emerald," and they are perfectly cut gems. So,
wait a second. You're right. We don't see it when Knuckles gets punched. I think he has both, actually. I think he has the piece of the Master Emerald and also some Super Emeralds, and we just didn't see that because
this comic is confusing. All right, let's fight Chaos 4.
It's Chaos 4 already. Wow.
It's cathartic to watch Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all fight it at the same time. That's how it should have been in the game.
No, because that would have just been Sonic Heroes.
Yeah, I was going to say, just change it to Sonic Heroes. Suddenly.
Listen, Chaos 4 is such a fucking dog shit boss fight. I would accept
Yes, it is. I don't know. I don't think I'd accept a dog shit boss fight in a dog shit game.
There ends up being some hilarious issues in trying to adapt the dialogue here, because Eggman says he wants to build Robotnik Land, but the problem is Robotnik Land was a translation of Eggman Land. And previously, Eggman had been translated as Robotropolis, and we already have Robotropolis. You already built it, buddy.
Well, he does say, "I'll build a new Robotnik Land."
What's wrong with your old one? Did he get tired of his new toy?
No, he just decided to branch out a little bit.
He's opening a new location.
Good old classic Robotnik had multiple locations, and Eggman isn't going to get shown up by them. Gosh darn it.
That's true.
Right, fine. Either way, it wouldn't be Archie without this. We have Sonic and Tails pull some insane superhero wizardry.
It's very funny how you're following things in a logical manner, and then suddenly they're like, "Hey, let's spice it up with powers never before seen."
Melting him into some glass.
Like you do.
Well, it's like, that's implausible, but then he breaks out after 5 seconds anyway, so why did you even bother?
It looks cool, I guess.
That's probably the reason why.
And hilariously, Eggman runs away, and Knuckles is like, "You guys go, I've got some unfinished business to take care of." No, you don't.
What do you mean? He always has unfinished business to take care of. Have you seen Knuckles in these comics?
That's true, he does.
Well, we'll see in about 5 pages, because we hard cut to Big, who is taking a boat out in search of Froggy.
For some reason.
Well, I assume Gamma just flew off, to the egg carrier that was in the sky, maybe? No,
well, so that's the thing that weirded me out, is that at first I was like, well, the egg carrier's in the forest. But no, here it's under the water, and they have Big get on the egg carrier not by sneaking into Eggman's base, but by complete accident, because it rises up from the ocean beneath him.
That's right, yeah.
Which I think is hilarious, actually.
He was going the right way.
Yeah.
I just don't know how he knew, but he's Big, so.
Yep. He just knows.
That's right.
So Sky Chase happens, as you might expect.
So glad I don't have to play it. Man, this is a huge improvement, I have to say.
Well, they also don't get shot down. This is Sky Chase 2 happening. They basically condensed the entire game, Sonic story. They folded over itself, basically. And I might add that when Tails transforms the tornado, there's 2 panels that are very obviously not drawn by Ron Lim, because that's clearly Spaciant.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so they crash land on it, and it's hilarious because this is what I said. Knuckles said, "I have some business to take care of." Next time we see him, we say, "Oh, I better go to the fucking egg carrier," and then he just does.
He reconsiders. He realizes.
He realizes where he needs to be.
Yeah, he actually just needed to follow them anyway. They get the egg carrier transforming here, and they throw in a sly. They haven't seen the power of this vessel really has. Where do they get a load of this?
Get a load of this.
Get a load of this.
And no, this is hilarious because, okay, the egg carrier transforming doesn't really do a lot in the game, right? It basically just says you have to play Skydeck now. And so they don't have Skydeck in this version. So they just say, okay, the ship is transformed. Now let's put it back within one panel.
Yeah, and they condensed the whole egg carrier escapade into one page, really.
And the way they do it is with the fucking hexagon switches that you use to get into the Chow Garden?
Sure.
You know.
They have chosen from really random things to adapt here. You could have put in something about Gamma here, maybe. You know, we skipped Twinkle Park, Speed Highway, and Red Mountain, because they're all just kind of running around with Amy's already here. Sonic and Gamma do fight, and Knuckles is arbitrarily teleported to the ship, because he can't glide high enough to get there on his own. So we have the Amy Gamma cutscene where she's like, "This robot's my friend, he helped me," which she says after Gamma's fucking head has already been caved in by Sonic.
I think he's just lying flat.
Oh, maybe that's his chest.
Sleeping.
It looks that way, but that's not what's going on.
Okay.
He's just sleeping. It's okay.
There's no context for this. She and Gamma never properly talked. Gamma has no feelings.
I could see Amy just immediately.
Yeah, I can see Amy being like, "No, friend."
I'm still not happy about it.
Well, no, you don't have to be happy about it. It's still stupid.
And he's just gone in the next scene. You know, there's nothing. Whatever. So we have Big and Froggy spits up the Chaos Emerald, and they still draw him with Chaos's tail, I might add.
I think that's because he still actually has. Wait a minute.
That tail was supposed to be what gave us Chaos Zero in this version.
Right.
You might be right. You know, I didn't touch on it because I didn't understand what they were talking about. But yeah, okay, I'm looking back last issue. Eggman doesn't actually talk about the tail. He talks about frog DNA patterns. And so we don't actually see Froggy lose their tail there. So I don't think Eggman was originally after the tail. And it's only now in the special that he grabs the tail.
Oh boy.
My god, that's...
The Eggmobile looks fucking enormous in this panel where Eggman takes the emeralds.
It does.
Anyway, so yes, Chaos 6, and we see the consequence for that tail thing, because Froggy just intentionally jumps inside Chaos for no reason.
Well, you know, it's never super clearly explained what's up with Froggy, but, you know, I always assumed that eating Chaos kind of drives you a little crazy.
I would assume so, yeah.
I figure, you know, either just because they don't know what they're doing and they just blindly jump that direction, or because they're actually drawn to Chaos. Either way really works.
I guess. In the game, Eggman puts him in there specifically to get the tail back. It works better that way. I do like Big's pattern.
But Eggman is really stupid here and doesn't realize that the tail is the problem, not the stupid frog DNA.
Yeah. I do like Big's pattern here, which is that he completely whiffs once and then immediately lands a perfect hit, which is basically accurate to how the Chaos 6 fight goes for him.
True.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sadly, we do not get to see Big trying to fly the Broken Tornado 2 at this point, but...
They couldn't include everything, and honestly, his send-off is still pretty glorious, because, yeah, he takes Froggy, and he just leaves instantly. Like, I'm done here. And Sade's just like, oh, do you know that guy? And then Eggman shows up, and then they have to fight.
Like, who the hell is that? So yeah, the rest of the Chaos 6 fight plays out more or less the way it does with the game. You have the Freezer bots, except they're red for some reason, so they look less icy. Except Sonic and Knuckles actually get hit by them, which almost never happens in the game. Did you even know you could get frozen by those things? I didn't until I did it on purpose.
I think I did.
I mean, I think it happened to me once or twice.
Yeah. And we keep through with more causality problems, because Sonic and Knuckles, they freeze chaos and then bop him.
Mm-hmm.
But in the game, the egg carrier crashes because you destroy one of the wings in Skydeck. In this version, that doesn't happen, so they just say a chain reaction from them breaking chaos destroys the egg carrier.
Because that makes sense.
The idea is that Chaos is frozen solid. They smash him. Ice goes everywhere, and then it just takes down the egg carrier, I guess.
That is
Eggman really builds.
Yeah.
Eggman does not build great stuff.
For real.
Yeah. So Sonic and Knuckles glide to safety, and actually Big did take the tornado. I just see now. I forgot about that. But it's in the wrong form. Whatever. But Sonic and Knuckles glide to safety. Sonic runs off. Eggman runs away, and then we don't actually get the rest of the story.
Well, but that's actually reflective again of the game, because we get a thing that's like, oh, okay, and Knuckles returns, Sonic speeds off, they find Amy, which they never resolved Amy's plot line, and Big is doing Big's thing, and then there's like, oh, maybe there's something up with Eggman, who knows? Maybe you should complete all the stories, or buy the next issue, actually.
Amy is not the only one who never gets an ending here, because if you've read the rest of this arc, they never exposit on Gamma's ending either.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that is a very weird fucking set of comics. They are trying so hard to make a straightforward adaptation, and they just cannot do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I give this a you tried out of 10, which is not me bringing back any kind of gimmick, but like, what the hell?
It really is just kind of what the hell.
It's like, I'm not bored, but it's like, am I judging this too harshly is what I'm wondering. If I were not aware of Sonic Adventure, would this still bother me? And I think, yes, it probably would.
Well, because it just feels like nothing, not really nothing's happening, but like, things are happening and then they don't get resolved.
Yeah, well, it's just, part of it is knowing that the amount of effect that SA1 will have on Archie Sonic in the long run is relatively minute. It's like, it feels like an obligation, which it literally was, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to know exactly what the requirements were. I mean, you've said a few things, which I think forgive them of some problems. But, yeah, I mean, it's weird. When I first read this, I wasn't intimately familiar with Sonic Adventure. I knew a few things about it, and I was like, this is a weird story. I assume it probably makes more sense than Sonic Adventure, though. And I wasn't wrong, but...
Yeah, it, like, sort of does.
Even knowing Sonic Adventure now, it's not that they omitted things, it's all screwy. I don't know if I could, like... If they had to follow it super closely, they probably couldn't have done much better. Like, if they had to include all the elements and shoehorn everything in, yeah, what are they going to do? Make another parallel universe subplot? I think I prefer this over, because that would be boring.
That's true.
But if they actually had some leeway and they were just felt like they had to, be close to it, I don't think that's the case. But if that is the case, why? I doubt it, though.
Well, we are going to get the conclusion of this story next week, and maybe that'll be better. I'm sure there won't be any hilarious, glaring issues with that. But for right now, that is where we are going to end off for tonight. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, you can feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, criticism, or feedback for us, you can find us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. I hope you have a great rest of your week, I hope you have a great night, and take care.